Alan Wake est la grosse exclue Xbox 360 de ce début d'année avec Splinter Cell Conviction. Un blockbuster qui a nécessité 5 ans de développement au studio Remedy, bien connu pour avoir créé la série Max Payne. Il met en scène Alan Wake, un écrivain à succès dans la veine de Stephen King ou Sutter Kane, l'un des personnages du chef-d'œuvre de John Carpenter, L'Antre de la folie. Souffrant du syndrome de la page blanche depuis 2 longues années, il est emmené par sa femme en vacances pour se ressourcer dans la petite ville de Bright Falls. Mais à peine arrivée, elle disparaît, laissant Alan désemparé et prisonnier d'une ville étrange où les nuits ne ressemblent à nulle autre. Pour nous parler du jeu, nous avons rencontré l'un des membres du studio Remedy.
My name is Oskar Häkkinen. I'm the head of franchise development at Remedy.
Voilà une étonnante façon de se présenter. Responsable de la licence Alan Wake alors que celle-ci ne comprend pour le moment qu'un seul et unique jeu et qu'il n'est pas encore sorti. De quoi attiser notre curiosité.
I'm Alan Wake, the writer.
We've always thought of Alan Wake to be something bigger than just one game. I mean, we've spent a lot of time making this game. It's been a 5-year project. So to just make the one game after 5 years and not think of it as a bigger franchise wouldn't make much sense. So we've definitely thought of it to be something more than just one game. You should think about Alan Wake 1 to be kind of like season 1 of a TV series, if you like. And this season will definitely be the full story, and you'll unravel the mystery and reach all of your goals as a gamer, and it's a complete story. But if this is a success, then we have the opportunity to do season 2. We've thought about doing some DLC as well. So DLC will be kind of standalone episodes that will be a bridge between season 1 and season 2. And Alan Wake is a very deep story, so it's something that would translate well into other types of media as well. I've got nothing to announce, but it's certainly the thought has been behind there that it's something that would translate.
What are you, a detective?
Des ambitions qui se confirment avec l'annonce toute récente d'une mini-série live qui débute cette semaine en exclusivité sur le Xbox Live avant d'être relayée début mai sur le site brightfalls.com. Celle-ci comprendra 6 épisodes réalisés dans l'Oregon par Philippe Van et servira de prélude au jeu. Le projet Alan Wake se rapproche étonnamment des ambitions cinématographiques affichées par Heavy Rain, mais propose une approche totalement différente. Son histoire et sa narration ont ainsi fait l'objet d'un grand soin. On les doit à un homme, Sam Lake, déjà auteur du scénario de Max Payne.
Alan, please help me.
I mean, this game is really pushing the envelope in storytelling in video games. So the story is beautifully done, and it's done in a different way. So the thing with Alan Wake is that what we've done really well at Remedy is to merge a gameplay and an interactive gameplay experience which is fun into a story-driven game, and merge these two things to fit together very well. And choosing a writer as the protagonist was a great way to give some extra storytelling tools. And writers are natural storytellers, so we use Wake's inner monologue to tell the story whilst in-game. And that's better, that we don't need to always go into cutscenes to tell stories. Rather, in-game we can also deliver story points. Again, choosing a writer as a protagonist is great, because his missing manuscript that he doesn't remember writing is now coming true. So manuscript pages are scattered around the world, and every time you find a manuscript page, it gives you information on the fiction. Worst of all, these pages are coming true, so when you read it, you know that these events will happen, you just don't know where, when or how.
Malgré l'importance de la narration dans le jeu, le gameplay n'a pas été négligé.
Definitely the story is a favorite of mine, but on top of that, the gameplay itself and the light and darkness mechanic, and adding that layer of, Wake's enemies are covered in shadows, and they're protected by this dark presence that's possessed them. Before you can do any damage on them, you need to remove that dark presence away using a light source, which then makes them vulnerable to damage to conventional weapons. And that adds a really cool aspect to combat, which hasn't really been seen before in video games.
Outre cette mécanique de jeu, une grande attention a été portée au rythme de ce titre, dont la structure épisodique a été mûrement réfléchie.
This is a thriller, and the important thing about having a thriller, we want to establish the first real thriller in video games. And the important thing is a thriller is to keep the player engaged, but also have the right pacing so the player doesn't get immune to the events that are happening. We realized quite early on if we had a movie-like structure, we'd have a story arc that at one point we would peak, and every time we try to scare the player later, they become immune to it because you can't keep peaking and going over that limit. So having the full story but then structuring it into episodes which have their own story arcs. Within those episodes we can peak and then we can come down, we can end on a cliffhanger where your heart is racing and your pulse is beating. But then when the next episode starts, you're almost shaking, but it's daytime all of a sudden. So we calm the player down and calm the tempo down. And Bright Falls looks beautiful. You're looking at snow-capped mountains. You have violins playing. You have the cellos there. You're talking to the locals in Bright Falls. And these are quirky people with funny jokes and personalities. And you find yourself laughing and enjoying the experience. And then all of a sudden, just when you're getting comfortable with that, we bring in the nighttime, and again the nightmare starts again. And again, ending on a cliffhanger. So we've tried to get the pacing really right, and by having daytime and nighttime scenes, that helps a lot with that.
Évidemment, le problème avec ce type de structure, c'est que le joueur doit être mené par le bout du nez et donc accepter la linéarité qui en découle. Une linéarité d'autant plus étonnante qu'Alan Wake fut d'abord pensé comme un jeu open world.
The game is linear, and when back in the day when we announced that we would do an open world game, I think that was a little bit too ambitious to deliver a thriller. Because in a thriller you do need to be able to tap into the emotions of the player, and it's various things. So, music is one thing that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and bringing in the wind and the mist at the right time, and visuals as well as sound and the events that are happening all tap into emotions. And we realized that in an open world sandbox we couldn't really control those emotions that we wanted to deliver for the player. But the game is built on open world technology. Now I want to be clear, this isn't a free roaming sandbox, but we've built the game on open world technology, and we use that technology to our advantage a lot. At times we make the path very wide and very long for the player, so the player can decide how they want to get from A to B. Do they want to walk? Do they want to take a car? That's up to them. And we've also put a lot of exploration content in there. So for everybody, the story, the skeleton of the story is available. But for those people that want to get more of the story, the exploration content is there. So you can interact with TVs in the game, you can interact with radios in the game, you can talk to other characters in the game, and collect these manuscript pages. A big chunk of these manuscript pages are just optional, and they give you a lot of depth to the fiction of what's going on in Bright Falls. So yes, it is linear, but there's a hell of a lot of information that you can get as extra, and you can choose the pace that you want to go through this story.
On va maintenant terminer par la description du personnage principal du jeu, qui, contrairement à ce que l'on pourrait penser, n'est pas tout à fait Alan Wake.
Well, Bright Falls is, we take a lot of influence from different pop culture, and there's definitely an echo of Twin Peaks in Bright Falls. So it's a small town. Bright Falls is a character in itself, and I don't want to give away the plot, but you will, when you play Alan Wake, you'll start to understand more about Bright Falls as a character. But think about it as small town Americana, where everything on the surface seems beautiful, everybody knows each other, everybody's friendly, and it seems such a happy place to go, a great place to gain back your creative flow. And that's why Alice brought Alan Wake to Bright Falls, to gain back his creative flow. Shortly after they arrive, she goes missing. But Bright Falls is one of those places that when you scratch the surface, you start to realize that it has deeper and darker secrets.
I wrote the story.
Rendez-vous dans 2 semaines pour la critique du jeu, dont la sortie est calée au 14 mai prochain.
Must be tough. knowing that your words will change things.
Who's there? It's coming! Hey! Oh, God! It's right behind us!
Alan, wake